is Ashley from Red and Ash, and tonight I'm going to be reading a scary story from the ghost story book, Ghosts and Witches Aplenty. More Tales Are Settlers Told, by Joseph and Edith Raskin. The story I'm going to be reading tonight is called The Evil Eye. During the years when California was a Spanish colony, the early settlers never succeeded in gaining the goodwill of their neighbors, the Indians. Claiming the Spaniards were intruders, the Indians constantly plotted against them and harassed them whenever they could. Hermenegildo Salvatierra was not only an efficient governor of California, but a brave man who often marched out with his soldiers to teach the unruly Indians a lesson in good behavior. In one of the skirmishes, the governor single-handedly felled 7 Indians. However, as he turned to finish the last one, an arrow struck him, shooting out his right eye. With the loss of his eye, not merely did the governor's appearance change, but also his whole character. Up to then, he had kept himself aloof and was ruthless to his subjects when they didn't obey his orders. Now his manner became gentler, his voice friendlier, and his face with the darkened eyes shone with a kindness the people had never seen before. They came to him for all sorts of advice. Men asked how to deal with a troublesome neighbor, or how to treat an ailing horse, and a woman dragging their naughty children along. They wanted to know how to make them behave. The good governor had time and advice for everyone. One rainy afternoon in 1797, the governor was sitting alone before his fireplace, gazing with his sound eye into the fire as though expecting something to happen. Captain Peleg Scudder of the schooner General Court from Salem, Massachusetts, his attendant announced, ushering in a stocky man with a weather-beaten face and wearing a sou'wester. "Ah, my friend," the governor exclaimed, rushing over and embracing the visitor. Then turning to the attendant, he commanded, Bring the finest wine I have in the cellar, and tell the cook to prepare a feast for my excellent friend." "But he is a Yankee," the attendant objected, giving the visitor a hostile glance. "I know, but do as I say," the governor ordered him. When they were seated and the wine was brought, the governor said, "Now, Captain, tell me about your journey to the Far East." Between rounds of drinking to each other's good health, the captain from Salem told the governor about the curious races of people he had met, their customs, their gods, and temples, so different from those in Western countries. Too bad Yankees were not permitted to stay a while in California, for he would have liked to show him all the amazing skills, cotton goods, teak wood, and ebony carvings he had brought back with him. With each bowl of wine they drank, the governor's friendship for the captain increased tenderness. By the time they had finished their 4th bowl, the governor, for want the right words, burst into song. And when their 5th bowl was erupted, he insisted that his Yankee friend get up on the table with him, and with a flourish he proceeded to teach him how to dance the Spanish and cucaracha. The revelry went on till late hours of the night, for it was a rare event when so good a friend of Captain Scudder, Yankee though he was, stopped at the shores of California on his return from the Far East. The next day the governor appeared before his astonished people with a right eye. Hearing of this, the priests came running and stood gazing in awe at the governor. "A miracle," they breathed. They went back to their churches, to their special services for the marvelous happening. Church bells rang out. A 3-day holiday was declared. People from every part of California came pouring in to get a glimpse of the governor's right eye for themselves. "It's even nicer shaped than the left one," they all proclaimed after seeing it. They drank to the health of their amazing governor, joined the throngs dancing in the open air, and watched the games specially arranged in honor of this occasion. Some of the priests, losing no time, went off to tell the red men in the vicinity about the miracle that had happened to the governor, pointing out to them what praying and faith could do. Mothers suddenly discovered a way of making their children behave by telling them that wonderful things would happen to them if they kept on being good and obeyed their parents. But no one was happier than Governor Salvatierra, as he was with his head raised high among the cheering crowd. During the rejoicing, the people didn't notice anything unusual about the governor's right eye. However, as the time passed, Some began to wonder about it. One day, as a dry goods merchant was measuring out a length of material for a customer, the governor happened to come by and stop to watch. Lifting his head from his work to greet him, the merchant was taken aback by the governor's right eye staring at him as though piercing through him. Did the governor mean to accuse him of selling foreign goods prohibited by law? No one in California was obeying that law, and the governor knew it. Then why was he singling him out to blame? Shrinking under the governor's persistent stare, the merchant stammered, I know. I promise to obey the law in the future. I am glad you are aware of it, the governor said. As soon as the governor walked off, the merchant hurried to share the strange experience with other merchants. They listened with grave faces and shook their heads, unable to offer any explanation. A few days later, the candle maker of the settlement was busily dipping a row of cotton wicks suspended from a frame into hot tallow, lifting them out to cool and dipping them again. Suddenly, he became aware of the governor's presence. Good afternoon, your lordship, the candlemaker greeted him. His glad smile vanished as he met the governor's cold, steady stare. Terrified, he tried to back away. He heard the governor saying, fine candles you are making, but it gave him no comfort. It was that stare. He was sure it really meant, where did you get the tallow? Against his will, he said aloud, I didn't know the tallow came from stolen cattle. I believe you, the governor replied. The cold stare of his right eye didn't seem to agree with what he was saying. For a while after the governor left, the candlemaker remained standing, wiping the sweat off his forehead. Later on, he told his wife, I wonder how much good the miracle really did the governor. It certainly didn't do us any good. It happened soon after that one of the baker's boys delivering a basket of bread to the governor's house saw the governor entering the kitchen. He noticed with astonishment that as the governor spoke pleasant words to the cook, the lower part of his face seemed to be smiling while the upper part remained serious. Excited over his discovery, he ran to tell other boys about it. Soon faces were peeping out from behind bushes and doorways, eager to get a good look at the passing governor. While the boys were merely curious, the older people began to worry about the governor's miracle eye. Whispers soon spread around that it was really an evil eye, that it could penetrate and reveal the deepest thoughts of men and make them confess their most guarded sins. The people came to fear the eye. Some even insisted that the governor must be in league with the devil. Sensing how people felt about him, the governor nowhere changed back to the stern, mistrustful ruler he had formerly been. However, he didn't suspect where all the trouble stemmed from. The Indians in the nearby mission had now feared the governor more than they had in the past. They appealed to their elders to tell them what to do. The root of our trouble is that evil eye. We must destroy it, the elders told them. I will go, one of the braves declared. Full moon was spreading a silvery light over the land as the brave, crawling on his stomach, stole his way to the governor's home. The night being warm, the tall windows facing the garden were wide open, and the moon shining through them cast light on the sleeping governor. Noiselessly, the brave stepped into the room and tiptoed to the bedside, but as he bent over to take a look at the face of the sleeping man, he was seized with horror. While the left eye was fast asleep, the right one was fully awake, fixing him with an evil stare. Falling back, he let out a howl that aroused the governor. Realizing that there was a prowler in the room, the governor jumped out of bed, grabbed a stiletto, and went after him. For a time they were locked in a violent struggle, neither one giving ground. At the end, the governor got the upper hand, and the Indian had to flee to save his life. However, the governor didn't come out of the fight unharmed. A jab he could not avoid landed on his eye with tremendous force, knocking it out. Great was the people's joy when they saw the governor with the right eye darkened again. Thank the Lord, the evil eye has left him, they kept telling each other. They now greeted the governor as though he were an old friend who had just returned from a hazardous journey. No longer frightened by the malevolent stare of his eye, they again came to him with their troubles for his wise counsel. And he now, realizing the cause of their fright, responded like a forgiving father with kindness and understanding. He never had the heart to reveal the truth to them, that his supposed evil eye was really a glass eye brought to him from the far east by his Yankee friend. The end.
Don't be scared, like